Here, I bet you can hear now. Somehow the mic got muted when I was doing all my maneuverings, I guess.
Oh.
But I bet you they can hear you now. Let me change it to this.
Okay. We'll see.
We'll see. Can you hear us now? Let me see. Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now?
Is anybody there? I hear dinging. People must be commenting.
Still nothing. What the heck is going on? I have no idea. Yes, you can hear us?
Oh, we've got sound.
Yay! Yay!
Okay.
Oh my God, this has been quite the night.
Yeah, we're going to have about 20 minutes maybe tops left.
That's okay. Finally, at least someone told us they couldn't hear us.
Yeah.
How's the quality of the sound? We tried something different. I don't think that did it. It used to be very echoey, but can you hear us better now? Does it sound natural and good? Mr. Les, if you could let us know. Mr. Les can hear us. I can. Yay!
Yay. Okay.
Do you want to read that again, or do you want to read the ashes?
I'm not going to read it again.
You're doing very well with your frustration level with all this. Okay.
Well, the problem is...
Oh, they say it's good quality, crisp. Oh, thank goodness.
Okay.
I was wondering why nobody was listening.
Okay, then. So we'll move on to the next reading. So this one is from Ashes, from my series, The Frozen Flame. Frozen Flame. This is book number 1. This actually concerns 2 characters. Natalia Stormwind, who is what's called a water mage. So her magical abilities all concerned with water and ice and things like that. The other character is named Athgar, and he's a fire mage who can, well, manipulate fire and do various, I guess, heat-related spells, for lack of a better definition. This particular scene is the first time they meet, although it's told from Natalia's point of view. She has fled the academy where she was taught to use water magic, and she has come to a city called Drayborn in the Duchy of Holstead, which is sort of an out-of-the-way member of the Petty Kingdoms. In fact, it's right on the easternmost portion of the known lands, actually. So she couldn't really get much farther away from civilization in an attempt to hide away from some people that are looking for her. So she's been in the city for a couple of days, and I'll pick the story up where it leads to their first introduction. The next morning proved to be sunny despite the previous night's storm. Natalia made her way down the street, the weather clear, but the ground still wet. Pausing in an apple cart, she picked one out, passing a coin to the vendor, then turned, ready to resume her stroll. As she bit into the succulent fruit, she spotted a man across the street, standing in a doorway, looking off in a different direction. But he had a familiar face, and she was certain she had seen him before. Stanislav had once told her that mage hunters often employed bounty hunters, men who typically looked for escaped criminals, but who would, for the right reward, search for virtually anyone. He had found it expedient to hire them on occasion, and the family had a network of them spread throughout the continent. Natalia tried to place the man's face, and then it sank in. He had been at the fruit stand she'd visited the day before. Now, convinced that she was being tailed, she resumed her walk, intent on not revealing her newfound knowledge. What was she to do, she wondered. She was alone in a foreign city, hunted by the family, and now it appeared that their long search extended even to here. Her flight from the Volstrom had been swift and unexpected, and yet somehow they had found her. No matter where she went, she realized they would be hunting her. She must remain on the move, perhaps for the rest of her life. This insight hit her hard, and she paused in her stroll, suddenly overcome with emotion. Was she destined to spend the remainder of her life running, always in fear of capture? Natalia hardened her heart. The family must not be allowed to control her life this way. The magic in her was strong, this much she knew, and she swore to fight back. If bounty hunters were seeking her, then she would allow them to find her, but they would pay the price for their folly. If the family wanted her, they would have to come in force. A sense of calmness came to her at that moment, and knowledge that she had the advantage on her pursuers. They could do nothing in the open, not with all these witnesses, for Natalia had committed no crime here in Drayborn. No, these men would try to take her when she was least expecting it. They would look for an opportunity to strike when she appeared most vulnerable, and she realized that if she provided them with that opportunity, they would make their move. She knew the family wanted her alive, for they coveted her power, if only for breeding purposes. They made capture their objective rather than death. She, on the other hand, had no such limitations, though she must be careful not to have herself arrested for murder. A woman forced to defend herself, she was sure, was sufficient justification for a killing blow, if necessary, but she preferred only to injure them if possible, sending the word back that she was a difficult target. The problem from her point of view was that she was a powerful spellcaster. Natalia had been taught from her earliest days at the Volstrom to release her full power, a skill she had mastered. Now, however, she saw the wisdom of holding back her capabilities, though she had no idea how that might be accomplished. Continuing down the street, she stopped to look into a jeweler's window, using the reflection in the glass to spot her pursuer. He was still there, occasionally looking to another individual. She entered the store, pretending to be shopping, but glanced out the window from time to time. The man's accomplice was easily spotted, and she suspected there might be others. How many opponents must she deal with? And she wondered. Stanislav had told Natalia stories of rogue mages. They were often improperly trained, at least according to the Volstrom, and had to be removed from the streets for the safety of the common folk. Early in his career, the old mage hunter had made a living from this work, in addition to finding new potential mages like herself, but he had employed a team to assist him. How many people would they send to capture her? She was a powerful caster, and they would doubtless be armed with Magebane, and yet how many would there be? The obvious answer to her mind was no more than 3 or 4, for she felt any more would draw too much attention. Could Magebane be administered through a tipped arrow or crossbow bolt? Natalia had no idea, but decided if she saw such an attacker, she would take priority. In her mind, she worked through the various scenarios and decided it was time for action. She would face down the bounty hunters on her own terms, not theirs. She had taken several shortcuts before, darting between buildings to cross to another street, and now she kept her eyes out for just such an opportunity. Spotting the cobblers, she made her choice. There was an alley that led down the right side of his shop, then turned, cutting across the back. It provided only one path, one that she could depend on, and yet allowed her to use the corner to her advantage. She slowed her steps, approaching the alley to view it before making her move. Seeing it empty, Natalia entered, taking her time, walking as if in doubt. Halfway down, she paused to straighten her dress, killing time to make sure she was still being followed. Sure enough, the man appeared behind her at the entrance, and as soon as their eyes met, he yelled out, "She's down here! Cut her off!" She resumed her journey, more hurriedly this time. "I've got her!" someone called out, the voice echoing from in front of her. The back corner of the cobbler's drew closer, and then she rounded it, ready for action. 2 men approached, the first armed with a crossbow, the weapon carried at the ready, but not yet aimed. Behind him came the second, with sword drawn. The words of power sprang quickly to her lips, and then a wall of ice appeared between Natalia and her 2 new adversaries. The crossbowman gave a cry of alarm and skidded to a halt, and then was obscured by the icy wall, only a rough outline visible through its surface. She turned her attention back to the man behind her. He was halfway down the alleyway, another behind him, axe in hand. She readied her spell, intending to let loose with ice shards, but as she cast, the axeman grabbed her pursuer by the arm in an apparent effort to stop him. "Leave her alone," the second man called out. The shards of ice flew towards them, but Natalia's target, pulled by the arm, twisted just before they struck, saving him from the full force of her attack, his arm taking only a few shards. Unfortunately, that left the bulk of her spell to fly past him into the chest of the axeman, tumbling him to the ground. Her pursuer, now free of the downed man's grasp, turned and ran from the alley. She thought of casting another spell his way, but her attention was pulled back to the other two as the swordsman had moved forward and was using the hilt of his sword to chip away at the wall of ice. Cracks began to appear on its smooth surface until she readied herself. A loud thud signified the final strike. Then the ice gave way, sending pieces flying. As Natalia cast another spell, she could feel the power surge through her. It felt almost out of control as a solid bolt of ice flew forth, striking the hapless swordsman in the head. There was a spurt of red as the spike carried through, and then the headless body dropped to the alleyway. It took her a moment to react, so stunned was she by the effect, and then she saw the crossbowman retreating around the far corner of the cobblers. The swordsman was obviously dead, but the man with the axe, the one that had tried to stop him, lay there unmoving. She approached cautiously, crouching down to examine him. He was clothed in a rough cut tunic with large stitching and wore heavy-looking boots, quite unlike the others that had attacked her. His face showed a thin beard, his hair long and unkempt, unlike most of the townsfolk hereabouts. Reaching out, she checked for a pulse to find he still lived. His chest was bloody, the ice shards having punched clean through his tunic, but while his breathing was shallow, he had not yet made the journey to join the saints. And that is a passage from Ashes. All right. So we do the next one? Okay. Got time for one more. This is a little bit of military fantasy this time, and this is taken from the book Temple Knight, which is the first book in the Power Ascending series.
Oh, we do have one question.
Yep.
Did he join the saints in what you just read?
No. So the next chapter actually begins from Athgar's point of view. He's the one that was wounded.
Ah, and so how could someone read Ashes?
How can they read Ashes?
Yeah. Don't you dare say open the book and look at the words.
You can get Ashes for free from our website right now if you don't mind the electronic version. It's also available in ebook format from all the major online retailers, or of course you can actually order the book directly from us or those other retailers as well.
And by book you mean paperback?
Paperback, yes. Sorry. Yeah, I guess they're all books. Paperback. We don't have hardcover yet. We're saving that for.
I just will say that someone's comment is, "Can I open the book and read the words?" Exactly what I said to you.
Yep, you just open it up
and guess who that might have been?
Who? Let me guess. Eric.
Eric.
Yes. Good job, Eric. Good job.
Thanks for keeping it going, Eric.
All right, so let me set the scene for Temple Knight. The main character in this story is Charlene de Chandria. She is a little old to be joining an order of knights. She was actually a swordsmith. Her father was a master swordsmith and taught her the trade, but due to events in her background, she was forced to leave her home, and she elected to join the Temple Knights. That part of the story is actually revealed in the prequel story, which is called
Tempered
Steel. Tempered Steel. Had to get the right series beginner there. So Tempered Steel actually tells the background of why she ends up joining the church. I won't go into the details, but you can find that and download that and find
Same
out.
places you can find Ashes on our website, on the store, or on their favorite online retailer.
Yes. So the scene I'm going to read you, she has been assigned to her first, she's gone through training. I should qualify that. She's gone through training. She's a little older than most recruits. She's in her 20s. Most recruits in the Temple Knights of St. Agnes are younger teenagers. And she already had, she was already fairly religious before she joined. So she already knew all the scriptures that was required. And she was strong, of course, because she was a smith. So this scene, she's joined her first command, and she's just a Temple Knight, lowest rank in the order. And this is she's coming out to meet some of her fellow sister knights I should also point out that the order she's joined, the Temple Knights of St. Agnes, they are dedicated, they are all women warriors, and they're dedicated to protecting women across the entire continent. So she's sent to this rather small outpost. There's only about a dozen knights there, plus a temple captain to rule over them. So this is actually chapter 3, entitled Settling In. The next day, after prayers, Charlene made her way to the dining hall for breakfast. A line of sisters waited by the kitchen door, where a short, red-headed woman spooned porridge from a large pot. Charlene took her place behind Danica, watching with interest. "Here," said the young knight, handing her a wooden bowl and spoon. "You'll need these. Sister Helena's serving today." "Meaning?" The raven-haired woman smiled. "Meaning we'll get larger portions." They advanced and held out their bowls. Helena poured a scoop onto Danica's bowl, then turned her attention to Charlene. "You're the new girl," she said, dipping the ladle back into the pot. "I am," said Charlene, as she watched the porridge get deposited in her bowl. It fell in a clump and sat unmoving, like a pile of mud. "Move along," urged the redhead. "Others are waiting to be served." Charlene held the bowl before her as she looked at the table. Sister Danica pointed out a spot. "Come," she said, "you can sit with me." They moved across the room and sat. Metal goblets rested on the table, along with pitchers of water. Danica poured 2 cups, setting one before the newcomer. Charlene sniffed her bowl, wrinkling her nose. "You get used to it," said Danica, her face full of mischief. Charlene shrugged. She'd never been a picky eater, and so she grasped the spoon, ready to dig in. "Wait," said Danica. "The captain has to say the blessing." Charlene looked around, seeing all the sisters sitting at the table, their eyes watching the captain's door expectantly. Time appeared to slow down, and Charlene started to think that her hot porridge would likely be cold by the time their leader appeared, but just as she was about to mention this, the door opened. Sister Nina, the captain, walked to the end of the table and stood still, bowing her head. The Temple Knights all stood, adopting a similar pose. "May the spirit of St. Agnes bless us this day," the captain intoned, "and guide us in our sacred duty. We give thanks in her memory and swear to uphold the vow we have taken in her name. Saints be with us." "Saints be with us all," they chanted. Charlene, ready to sit back down, started to lower herself, but Danica grabbed her arm, pulling her back up. The captain, a flash of annoyance on her face, continued her speech. "Let us welcome our new sister, Charlene, and see that she is introduced to our simple ways." She paused, looking at each temple knight in turn before continuing. "You may eat," she announced. The sisters all sat, eagerly digging in. Charlene, never one to shy away from a meal, picked up her spoon, ready to follow the lead. The captain, rather than remaining to eat with her charges, disappeared back into her office. "Is that normal?" asked Charlene. Danica shrugged. "Normal enough. She doesn't spend much time amongst us." She returned her attention to her meal, dipping her spoon into her porridge and then taking a tentative bite. The look on her face betrayed her emotions. "This is disgusting," she called out. "What did you put in this, Helena?" "It wasn't my fault," her fellow sister called out. "It was Sister Rowan. She's the one that insisted on using up the old oats." "Waste not, want not," added Rowan. "I think they were bad," muttered Danica. She sat back. "I can't eat this." "Give it here," said Teresa. "I'll eat it." The table broke into laughter. Charlene looked at her companions, but failed to understand the humor. Danica passed over the bowl and looked at Charlene. "Teresa is notorious for eating anything," she offered. All around her, the others were picking at their food. Charlene took a bite, finding it passable, if not entirely appetizing. She was soon finished. "Looks like you've got a healthy appetite," said Danica. "I'm used to eating much more than this, then sweating it all out during the day." "Sweating it out? What's that supposed to mean?" "I was a smith," Charlene explained. "I used to spend most of my day in front of a forge." "And so you gave up that to join the order? You must be extremely pious." Charlene smiled. "Let's just say that St. Agnes has always held a special place in my heart." The other knights began rising from the table, each taking their bowl, cup, and spoon. "Come on," said Danica. "We have to go wash our things. They don't clean themselves, you know." Charlene followed the younger knight outside to where a rain barrel sat, while the other sisters were dunking their bowls and swishing them around in the water, then setting them on a table to dry. She waited for them to finish, then repeated the action with her own bowl. Her task complete, she turned to Danica. "What now?" "Now we check the duty roster. It's this way." Back inside they went. then over to the captain's office. Beside her door was a scribbled note containing everyone's responsibilities. "You and I are on stable duty," said the young knight. "I hope you don't mind getting dirty." "We had a horseback home," said Charlene. "I'm used to it." "Looks like we're going to get some rain," mused Danica as they crossed the courtyard. Charlene looked skyward to see dark clouds rolling in from the west, promising a heavy downfall. "Do you get much rain here?" "No, it's usually hot and dry, and when it does rain, it comes in a torrential downpour." "Where would you like to start?" asked Charlene as they entered the stables. "There are bales of hay down that way," Danica replied, pointing. "You grab the pitchfork, and I'll start mucking out the stalls." "How often do we do this?" "It's done every day, but the work rotates." "And do we always work with the same person?" "Usually, but the captain mixes us up on occasions." Charlene wandered back towards the hay, searching for the pitchfork. She soon found it and whiled away the morning in physical labor. So there you go. The character of Danica becomes a very important player in the rest of the series as well. They become sort of best friends, and as Charlene rises in ranks as the series progresses, Danica also gets some promotions, and I don't want to give away what her role in it is, but she plays a very, very important role. All right. Well, that's about it for reading passages. Is there anything anyone would like to ask? No questions today.
No, I mean, we did get cut off. Maybe we can apologize for that.
Yes, so I apologize for the technical issues we had earlier. We seem to have fixed the problem now.
We don't know. So we're going to now, we may get cut off because I'm
Okay.
going to try to go back into the live stream, and that may cut us off.
Okay.
So on my software. So thank everybody first.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us and
But-
bearing with us through the difficulties we've experienced. We shall now take a moment to
Keep talking.
try a few things to see
Yeah.
what's going on with the stream. Now I know what it feels like to sit behind a news desk and get live.
Okay. So it's working this time. I'm not sure. I think I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Keep talking.
That's great. I have to have something to talk about.
That's funny. I typed it in once and I can hear it twice. Let's see, someone just joined, but just if anybody can let us know if you can still hear us.
Yeah, let us know if you're actually hearing me speaking.
Well, so Iron Warrior was excited to catch you live. So say hi to Iron Warrior.
Hello, Iron Warrior. Where is Iron Warrior coming from?
Well, don't ask questions like that. There's a bit of a delay, so it'll be about 4 or 5 seconds. Cato said the reading felt very natural and it's easy to understand. EP Werner says the sound is good, which is nice to hear, and the video is good.
Oh, that's good.
He wants to know what you think about the website Wattpad.
I don't use Wattpad, but I've heard of a lot of people that do. The issue that I don't use Wattpad because my books are being published in book form. Wattpad is great if you want to. My understanding of Wattpad is it's great if you want to try out some writing samples and let other people take a look at them, that sort of thing. I don't believe it's monetized in terms of, making a living from your writing. And I don't think it's going to be replacing books. I think it's another avenue for people to get raised. It's like ebooks and physical books don't really compete with each other. And then you've got the things like, what's the Kobo one? Kobo Select? Is it Kobo Select?
Kobo Plus.
Kobo Plus.
Yeah.
So Kobo Plus, you pay a monthly fee and you can read as much as you like. It's very similar to what Kindle does. The difference being that you don't have to be exclusive when you go with Kobo Direct. And so Kobo Plus, pardon me. So it's just another avenue. It
Yeah.
brings in another audience, and I think Wattpad is probably somewhere.
If you're all right, just to go a little over tonight, we do have some
As
questions.
long as the battery holds up on the camera.
We have about 11% left.
Okay, sure.
Iron Warriors from Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. Cool.
Cato says, one of the things I've noticed the most is the voice behind your videos, which I'm assuming is your wife helping you. It's very sweet, and you two seem like a great pair.
Yes, well, we've been a pair for a long time. We've actually been married 40 years.
Yes, but we've known each other a lot longer than
We've
that.
known each other longer than that. That's correct.
That dates us. Oh, so Banana Tiger wants to know, what's your opinion of the singing parts of Lord of the Rings?
Oh, the singing parts?
Yeah.
The singing parts are okay. Tolkien actually has singing in a lot of his writings, so it's interesting. I was watching a documentary about Peter Jackson's version of the movie, Peter Jackson's movies, and the song that I think it's Dominic Monaghan sings, if I recall. He actually wrote that. Dominic did. So that's not from the books, but it fits. It fits the story quite well.
Okay.
I actually have some singing in one of my books, actually.
Someone wants to know if you're planning on ever doing special editions with painted edges or stuff.
Yep, that's certainly on the list. We don't have a date for that as yet. We're still sourcing things, and we're pretty busy at the moment. But yes, we definitely do have plans to do special editions at some point in the future.
Okay. Sorry, it's posting something I said again and again and again and again and again.
You're in an infinite loop.
I don't know. It's
The
really...
matrix is broken.
Yeah, I was asking if people could hear us in TikTok, and it must have posted 100 times, and I can't get it to stop. So it's really hard.
Okay.
What is your favorite dragon?
Ooh, my favorite dragon, I would have to say, is Smaug from The Hobbit.
Oh, someone wants to know if you're going to do the Fate of Ophelia dance. I don't even know what that is.
I'm not sure what that is,
Yeah.
but there's no room here to dance in our current setup, so I will avoid embarrassing myself by doing a dance.
Ed would like to know, what genre did you read when you were younger?
So let's see. Well, I've always read science fiction and fantasy for as long as I can recall. Now, years ago, when I was like a, preteen, we read stories like Enid Blyton, the Famous Five and stuff like that. I don't remember any of those stories. I remember, the names of the books. Later on, I think I remember reading some Tom Swift books. My brother was really into the Hardy Boys. I preferred Tom Swift, but I didn't read a lot of them. I'd say maybe 2 or 3. But once I got into The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and then, I started reading Andre Norton, Catherine Kurtz. I guess you would call them the classics. A lot of Heinlein and Asimov, 2 of my favorite sci-fi authors. So yeah, that's my background.
Someone, sorry, E.P. Werner says that they've just almost finished their own book. What do you think their first steps should be?
Now, when you say you've just about finished your first book, I don't know what, I assume that means your first draft. You want to get hold of a editor. You can go online and you can find editors, but you need to find an editor that works for you, that you're comfortable with. So an editor, you want someone who's not going to change your voice or try to take over your story, but at the same time, you want constructive criticism. Sometimes to me, that's the hardest part, getting the criticism and making changes. But it's really important to get a good edit in for your book before you seriously consider publishing.
So the other things to think about is whether you're going to self-publish or you're going to go the traditional route and query. There are some really good Facebook groups that can help you figure out what you're going to do, 20 books to 50K. or successful indie author. Also, Joanna Penn's The Creative Pen is the site that Paul used when he first started thinking about self-publishing 9 years ago. So those
Yeah,
are the ones that I would suggest.
lots of great
Yeah.
advice. Um, to put things into perspective, a lot of traditionally published authors are now going to the self-publishing route. It depends on what you want to get out of your book too. If you just want your book to be in a bookstore, you kind of have to go with the old-fashioned publishing route. But there are advantages to that as well because they have reach. They get you shelf space. Um, but even traditional publishers are still relying on authors to do a lot of their own publicity as well, unless you're a really big name.
Okay, a few more questions.
Sure.
Will you ever write Banana Tiger wants to know, will you ever write a sci-fi novel?
I actually have an idea for a sci-fi novel that I've actually began writing some time ago. I would probably go back to that, but I have too many fantasy stories left in me to do first. So I don't think I would be doing sci-fi for a couple of years.
And Kato would like to know what your favorite Asimov's book is. I wonder if they can see your Asimov behind you.
I don't know if I have a lot of Asimov on the shelf. My favorite Asimov books were actually the original Foundation trilogy. I really enjoyed that. I read, of course, his collection of robot stories, but I think the Foundation trilogy is my favorite. I didn't go past the three originals. He later added other books to the series, but those three, I really enjoyed them. And I have to say, I've been watching the Apple Foundation series. I like it. It's very different from the book. It's got some parts of the book, but it's still very well done. It's a different interpretation of the story, if you like, but I think it's still very entertaining.
Happy Button Quail wants to know your go-to method or tool for planning and organizing your story before you start writing.
So my organizing method usually entails running a tabletop role-playing game, trying out ideas.
You're a little crooked here.
Oh, okay. There we go. Now I'm straight.
There, now straight. Well, that was because it was 17 times trying to get it up and running.
Yeah. Usually for me, it starts with the characters. I have to have interesting characters and an overall plot idea. If I look at the Frozen Flame, the basic concept is these two characters, Athgar and Natalia, fire and ice, right? It's kind of a classic contradiction or opposites. And I just thought it was an interesting concept. One's on the run, hunted by somebody. I won't give plot away. Well, I guess in the reading, I kind of gave away someone called the family. And the fire mage is out seeking retribution for an attack on his village that basically wiped out a whole bunch, half his village, and carted off the rest as slaves. So that was the basic concept. And then everything grew from there. I had to figure out, excuse me, how they met and how I would progress the story from there.
We have a few more questions and keeping an eye on the time. We're going to go for about 7 more minutes because we were quite late starting.
Yep.
And so we need to give them their bit of your Paul time. Dead Trees and Ink would like to know if you have a word count or page goal per day or per week.
Yes, I have a page. Once I've done the outline and I actually start the actual writing, my word count is I usually try to get 3,000 words a day.
Okay.
And only during the week. I don't do that on weekends.
So do you write part-time or full-time?
I write full-time.
Okay. And Ed Como wants to know what was the inspiration for your original characters in your first book, Servant of the Crown.
Servant of the Crown is based on a role-playing game that I ran for a couple of years.
5
years, yeah. The story, the first 2 or 3 books follow the game that we played fairly closely, and then the books diverge quite a bit from the original campaign after that.
Yeah.
And I edited a lot of stuff out. There was a whole tour of Weldwin that was cut a little bit short.
I know. I was very upset about that.
Yeah, there was all kinds of extra stuff, but for the sake of keeping the story moving, I had to take some things out.
And who were the characters based on? So which were based on actual physical people in the role-playing game, and which were NPCs, non-player characters?
So there were 3 players in the game. The character of Anna, which is the young girl, was played by Carol.
Me.
Revy Bloom was played by our friend Brad, and Jeff was our other friend. Jeff played Arnhem Castor.
Oh, but there was a 4th person.
Oh yes, eventually we had another character join Steve, and he played the character of Jack Marlowe.
That was his first role-playing experience.
It was, yeah. Jack Marlowe appears in Heart of the Crown, so he doesn't show up till book 3.
Yes, we started playing that in, I think, 2012.
Yeah, wow, that's going back a few years.
Because you started writing about it in 2016.
Yep.
So let me just see if you have any more questions. Someone says, wow, 3,000 words a day, that's Cato. Does it affect the quality? So you have to talk about it being a draft.
Yeah, that's the first draft. So it undergoes an editing process after that. Now you have to realize that I'm a fast typist. I type 140 words a minute. So I go in, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like sprint writing, I think is the term.
Yeah, but you don't do the same as other people. Most people don't stop for tea, and that's
Yeah,
how they end their
so
sprints.
yeah, I'll go like crazy for, half an hour, and then I'll stop and I'll go make a cup of tea or something. And then when I'm doing that, I'm thinking over the scene. So when I sit down, I'm already envisioning the scene with what's going to happen. And I also work on a very detailed outline, so I have a pretty good idea of where the story has to go and what's going to happen in that particular chapter that I'm writing at any one time.
And when you say envision, it's kind of interesting. When you write, you aren't imagining it in your head. You imagine it like a movie.
Yeah, I do actually. I see it as if it's a movie or a TV series, scene from scene. I imagine the people walking around, communicating, fighting, whatever the scene calls for. Trying to make it cinematic, I guess, is a better way of describing it.
Someone wants to, Banana Tiger really wants to know if you have any thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3, like the game, never actually got around to finishing it.
Yeah.
It's a great game. It was Game of the Year. I'm not a huge fan of some of the mechanics of D&D.
D&D 5e is just, you're not used to the system. It's hard to make a decision on it because we've only played it.
Oh yeah.
About 15 times.
No, but I mean, in Baldur's Gate 3, you're talking, it's a D&D game. So it's just, yeah, it's I prefer more, I'm not big into turn-based games, other than like Civilization kind of games. So I'd rather play first person, like well, Fallout 4 is one of my favorite games, or Skyrim or something, where you're walking around in real time rather than pausing. And
Diablo, my favorite. Not yours.
And then the only other thing I don't like in games like Baldur's Gate is that you have to pause for combat, figure out what everybody's doing, choose their actions, choose their spells. To me, it's a lot of administration.
But that's the game.
It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but it just requires too much thought on my part, I think.
Yeah. Cato says, thank you for letting them know that the tea is the secret to typing 140 words a minute.
Yeah.
Werner wants to know if you're going to attend some in real life events. Would love to see you in one of them, so you can talk about the one you're going to on November 8th, and especially here in Ottawa. So on November 8th is Treasures and Tomes in London, Ontario.
Yes, so we will be there.
With all your books.
With all the books,
all
signing
36.
books, selling books, or just you want to drop by and
free
chat.
Stuff.
And we'll have free stuff to hand out as well. Yes.
Yeah. So yes, you can see us there if you're close to London.
Yeah, and those details will be in our newsletter too. So if you haven't gone to our website, go to our website. You'll have a little pop-up that'll come up and ask you to sign up for the newsletter. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And we keep you up to date on what we're doing and where we're going to be.
Someone wants to know if you've ever played a Resident Evil game.
No, I have not. I saw the movies.
And someone wants to know, have you ever tried to write a horror novel in the time of medieval? It's such a refreshing idea. Well, you might want to talk about Cyric. Not horror, but kind of is. Some of it.
Yes, so I have a series called The Chronicles of Cyric, and while it's not horror per se, it's more of a detective storyline. There are some horror elements to a couple of the stories, particularly Plague in Zeiderbruck and
Beast of Brunhausen.
Beast of Brunhausen. Yeah, Beast of Brunhausen. But it's not really a horror tale. There's just some supernatural elements to it.
It's a fantasy whodunit murder mystery.
Yes. One of these days I might get around to writing. I have an idea for a book about a temple knight of Saint Ragnar who hunts down creatures from
Oh, that'd be a
Mordor.
good one, yeah.
But that's probably quite a ways off at the moment.
Ed Como wants to know if you're ever going to come to the States.
Not in the near future, just because of the cost involved. Also, if I go down there, taking books to sale across the border becomes a bit of an issue.
Yeah, we also have a dog that doesn't do well when we're not home.
Yeah.
So we can't be gone too long.
So usually we like to go to events that are only within 1 or 2 hours tops. So yeah, at the moment, okay. Maybe in the future, we'll see.
Yeah. Drew wants to know, what did you do before becoming an author, and did you have more success with that than being an author?
Okay, so being an author is my third career. My first career was as a comm radar specialist in the Canadian Air Force. My second career was as an instructor, an IT instructor at a college. I enjoy doing both of those, but I enjoy writing far better. Now, when you say, was I more successful at those, I'm not sure how you would measure those. They're different things.
You make more money being an author.
I make more money being an author, yes. Yeah. I guess that's the more successful.
If you count success, are you happier?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Am I happier? Yes. Yes. Especially because you're not away all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
K Rover wants to know, what do you think is the most important place to start when writing a book? Plot, world building, characters. You and I disagree on this.
I think, to be honest, all three are important. I think you've got to have a strong sense of your main characters. It's you have to know your main characters well, because you have to make sure that they act in a manner that's consistent with the way you're writing them. Nothing pulls you out more reading a book and the character does something and you think, why would you do that? That doesn't seem like that's in character. And I've got caught in the editing process, and Carol's told me, oh, that character wouldn't do that. That doesn't work. And I have to look at it and go, yeah, you're right. I have to change that. And so you're not always going to be perfect. You gotta go with the flow and make changes, and that's part of the editing process.
Someone wants to know if you would go to any events in Montreal. We might.
Montreal, maybe we'd have to make some arrangements for the dogs, I guess. But yeah, Montreal,
we're looking at doing more events next year. So, email us, let us know.
Yeah.
Banana Tiger says, do you think a sci-fi novel blended with fantasy could do well, like an alien abduction mixed with mages? Yeah, they've been done.
Yeah, I think that's been done. I think, to be honest, sci-fi is very much like fantasy. And if you really want to push it, Star Wars isn't really sci-fi, it's science fantasy, isn't it? Lightsabers, the Force, same thing as magic, really, when you think about it. So there's nothing wrong with mixing those genres together. That's one of the nice things about fantasy in general, is you can mix and match anything.
Someone said, Leaf said you were his teacher. I don't know. Could be you saw that.
Could be. I don't know. Don't recognize the name, but maybe that's his own one.
Yeah, Leaf is probably not. Yeah.
What did I teach him?
I don't know. Leaf, what did he teach you?
Stuff?
I don't know.
Probably.
Ed just wants to say keep writing, that he loves it all. Maybe someday he can shake your hand. But
that'd be great.
Yeah, we don't quite go to this. All right, I'll take 2 more questions, and then it's popcorn time.
Yeah.
Someone said that Star Wars is basically sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I think it's sci-fi. How do you get the fantasy out of that?
the Force, isn't that magic? Really? Lightsabers?
Well,
Like being
sci-fi.
able to like strangle someone like Darth Vader? That's not science, right? Oh wait,
Science.
there's midichlorians. Maybe it is science.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
That's science fantasy. A lot of people say it's science fantasy.
Okay. So I think if you want to thank everybody for coming and being so patient with us,
yes.
but we actually did go over because it's now 9 o'clock again.
Wow, there you go. So we were hoping to do this for an hour, so we got, well, pretty close to that, I guess, once we got past the technical.
No, I'm telling you, we've done an hour and 10 minutes, 16 minutes.
Okay.
And if you're wondering what the dinging is, if you hear it, that is us letting you know that you're downloading books from the website. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And we hope to see you again next week with less technical issues.
Well, I don't even know what went wrong.
Do we know what we're doing next week? Have we decided on
a
topic?
Yes, we're going to talk about fantasy and role-playing games next week.
Ooh, cool.
So fantasy all those binders behind you.
Oh, the inspiration. Yes.
Yes, inspiration. Always questions and answers at the end.
Yes. All right. We look forward to seeing you back here again. Thanks for joining.